With Tarkov's seasonal shaking up the quest progression completely, today I'm going to be showing you the items that I found so far that you still need in the early game, along with quest keys, certain quest progression tips as well, and how to make some good money on the flea market with the items in the first week. So let's get straight into it. So as you've probably noticed, the quest structure in the new Tarkov world of Season 1 is now completely different to how it was before. We get different tasks at random times compared to how it was, although some of the tasks are still very similar to how they were, and so we can kind of plan for those, but I'm going to show you firstly what I have so far seen that you still need. So let's start with Skier. So over on him you still need the Module 3M armor, and you need the TOS 106 bolt action shotgun. That's pretty straightforward, just look for it in your raids. Golden swag has changed, so this is no longer grabbing the golden zippo and then planting it. This one is getting the golden zippo from 303, grabbing the item, and then stashing a regular zippo in its place. So you need 303 key, we'll come onto that in a bit, but also you need a zippo lighter with you to replace the golden lighter that you take out in the first place. So that's a little bit of a change compared to how this quest used to be. You then also get this beautiful one, what's on the flash drive, the classic. You still need 2 of these. This comes a little bit later down the quest line, but you do get it relatively early, so you should be trying to keep these and save them as soon as you possibly can. Over on Peacekeeper, he has this quest Fuel Shortage, where you have to hand in found in raid items from Household and Flammable. Household is pretty easy, it's just like soap, clean wiper fluid, that kind of thing, but Flammable's sort of annoying because you need lots of matches for the hideout, so they end up overlapping. So just try to keep as many of those types of things as you can, and then use those to give to Peacekeeper. So you need basically more than the 3 matches just for the starter stuff within the hideout. So keep that in mind when you're going around. There's also a new quest here, Chemical Experiments, where you have to stash a corrugated hose in the med lab on customs. This is crack house, as you might have imagined, but this means you have to bring a corrugated hose with you, or I guess find one on customs, and then go to crack house to plant it. So you need to have one of these at some point so that you can actually complete this quest too. So keep an eye out for that. You're probably going to be grabbing these anyway, because you need a lot of them for the hideout, but just bear that in mind. Over on Therapist, the classic of Salewers is required still. 3 Salewers you do need, so you're going to have to go around looking at med spots trying to find these, but there's also a quicker way of doing it if you do manage to find some of the other items, because you must remember that within the hideout there is a craft to make Salewers in the med station. I actually don't believe this was there on day 1. It looked like it was missing because somebody asked me and I checked and it looked like it was missing, but I think BSG ended up putting it back. So after the hideout is loaded for an eternity, you can see you can make these out of 2 car first aid kits. So if you can help it, and you haven't done this quest yet to hand the Salewers in, I would avoid using the car first aid kits if you possibly can, or use them in your stash down to like 1 usage, 10 usage, something like that, so you can then use them in the craft. You can also get car first aid kits from Therapist, so if you want to keep humpback salmons, that's another way of doing it. So you can swap humpback salmons for car first aid kits, and then you can put them through the med station, and then that allows you to build those Salewers, so you don't have to find them all. It's just a little bit of a trick. The one that caught me out was this new one, Fall Ailment, where you have to find 5 disposable syringes. This one, I believe that you only needed 1 syringe previously to do the med station, so I just wasn't keeping them, so I ended up not actually having these, but you can also make these as well. Once you've got enough to get med station level 1, you can then also make them here. So you'll basically just need vodka and one of these hydrogen peroxides. These cheeses you can just buy from Therapist. So this is easy to do once you get to med station level 1. So maybe get to that first and then try to build these 4 here, and maybe another one if you need to. But this is how I ended up doing it. I had 3 already, and then I spotted that this craft was here, because you don't normally need to craft syringes, but you can do this if you need to. Now, Ragman is a classic one for acquiring lots of stuff, and you do get some of his relatively early. So for him, we've got this Dress to Kill quest, so you do need the cowboy hats and the Ushankas as early as you possibly can, so just keep these, because this is one of the quests that you get right at the beginning. Then we've got the Sew It Good task line. Now I do want to point out something here, that the way that the tasks are split these days, you've got loyalty level 1 tasks at the start, then loyalty level 2 tasks, 3 and 4, and then you've also got this section called essential tasks, and what can be a little bit confusing about this is that some of them are hidden underneath this little drop down, so just make sure that you are looking in this drop down. So you can see here that these tasks are bundled together. They've split a lot of the tasks out, but things like Tarkov Shooter, Punisher, Sew It Good, those ones are kind of set in like a progression in this essential tasks part. So for Sew It Good part 1, you can see that we still need the ski hat with holes for eyes and a pilgrim tourist backpack. Once you've done that, you'll then need the classic Wartech TV109 106 rigs and the Black Rocks. These ones I usually craft in the laboratory level 2, but I'm not quite there yet because I'll be making money and selling other people's stuff for the hideout rather than progressing it myself, as a slight change in strategy for this wipe. Over on mechanic, the only one that I've really seen that you need to do for now is Bad Habit. This is the old Marlboro Wilson strikes, but you can use any of them to hand them in for this task, so you just need 15 of them in total. This can also be crafted, I think it says crafting recipe in the hideout for initial equipment, which means that you can then actually go and do the Wilsons. So once you've picked that up, if you've got nutrition level 1, you can actually make them out of the signature blend teas and then these 5 Apollos. So pick up any of them. If you end up with 5 Apollos, you can then convert those into 5 Wilsons to complete it that way. You obviously just need to have one of these signature blend teas, and you can't trade these until level 25. So you're not going to be able to buy them off the flea. A lot of stuff is blocked off the flea market because of the level gating the BSG put in last patch or the patch before. And so although you get to the flea market at level 15, a lot of things you won't actually be able to buy until a bit later on, level 20, level 25, etc., because of how it's tiered. And we'll look at that in a moment. But first, let's have a look at the keys. So what to look out for? For shaking up Teller, you'll still need Dorm's room 203 key. For bad rep evidence, you actually don't need the portable bunkhouse key because you can still reach in through the window. This is the one where you go up the little sets of stairs near that skeleton construction building on customs, and you can just reach in through the window and grab the file. You don't actually need the portable bunkhouse key for this still. Over on Skier, we looked at this before, and you do need a 303 so you could do Golden Swag. But interestingly, you actually need 2 of them because there's a new quest over on Therapist. It looks a little bit like the old failed quest from Chemical Part 4, I think it was, which is this one here, Aid Stations. And you need Dorm Room 303, ZB14, Military Checkpoint, and Gas Station Storage Key. So you need 2 copies of 303, one to hand in to her, and one to use for the Scare Quest. I guess technically you could do the Scare Quest first, and then give it into Therapist afterwards, but don't do this until you've already done the one with Scare. We then have Pharmacist, where you need 114, and Operation Aquarius, which I wasn't sure if this was going to require 206 still, but this does. I went to the room and it was closed. So unless you go to the room and someone else has already done it, you're going to need 206 key. Now you can buy a lot of these keys off Therapist directly. If you see here, you can still get loads of these. I'm at Therapist 2 now. You can get 220 from her for this barter. Tarkov Director's Office Key, which is another important one for this barter, or this one, either of these. Portable Bunkhouse, which I said you don't need. 206, which is a billion meds, which maybe I could do at this point, but I don't think you can buy meds until you're level 20 anyway, so that one you do kind of just have to collect them up. And then 114 you can get for this relatively simple barter. And 303 is existing here as well for the T-plug and the tape. So what other ones did we need? So the ones that I've seen outside of this, so for Ragman, he has this quest which normally you see quite a lot later, which is now called A Big Loss. This used to be Database Part 2. This one, you're going to need the Ollie Logistics Department Office Key for it. I haven't got this one yet, so I haven't done it. And then you get this one for Therapist as well, Shipment Tracking. This one requires the office key for the kind of sniper sort of boiler room building, whatever you call that. It's called the Company Director's Room Key. So you need that for this, but I haven't seen this yet. This used to come quite late. This is quite a late game one. There's also another really random one, which is over on Jaeger, which is Dragnet, which is where you need that special card to get into that room underneath factory. This used to be really rare. I don't know what it's going to be like this wipe, but this comes relatively early at loyalty level 2, so this one's quite an interesting one. If you do see the Terror Group storage room card, then obviously keep that because it is quite in high demand usually for this particular mission, but you're probably not going to see it, if I'm honest. Okay, so a couple of extra things then. You open up the maps as usual just by going through the tour mission and opening them up that way. So I'm still doing reserve next. I need to give Prapple some dog tags. I just have to go into the menu and do it, and then we'll basically just have to pay Peacekeeper for Lighthouse and then do the section to get through into lab, and then we'll have all of these open. The other guys that we need to think about, we've got Jaeger, who just unlocks in the same way as usual. You just do introduction through mechanic once he gives you the quest. And then Ref, I'm actually not 100% sure how Ref ends up opening. I ended up getting Easy Money Part 1 through Skier after getting to level 2. Some people were saying it was what's on the flash drive, but I haven't done it, so I think it's just Skier 2, to be honest, and that's where you then take the poster into the fortress building on customs, and then that unlocks Ref, because you then get Easy Money and Balancing. One thing that I would note, I am going to probably do a new quest guide for going through all of the arena quests, if you can get Theta at the end. I don't know yet whether you can or not. If you can't, then I might not make the guide, but we'll see. But after you do Balancing Part 1, this is the one that gives you the Escape from Tarkov Arena free trial. So if you don't have Arena, don't just accidentally stumble into completing this. I would only press complete on it if you're ready to actually do some stuff in Arena. I don't know exactly how Seasonal and Arena are connected yet in terms of questing, so I will find that out over the next few weeks, and then I will hopefully update something on it once I know a little bit more, because it's not quite clear at the moment whether you can get Theta or not. But you can at least open up Ref, you just have to go through those easy money quests at the start. The other one to pay attention to, and I actually think this is kind of crazy, and I think this is going to break this wipe, unfortunately, or this season, I should say, is that if you go around Customs or Ground Zero, that is where I've seen them, you open up the story task Boreas, which is the Icebreaker task. And I know some people are already going into Icebreaker, and we know what a moneymaker that is. It's full of class 5 plates and stuff. So I have a feeling that by the end of this week, this early wipe is kind of going to be over, because you can just get free money out of Icebreaker. I don't know what BSG are going to do about this. This feels like a bit of a problem, but maybe the intention is the season to be fast and loose with gear everywhere and Black Division and farming endgame stuff right from the word go. But I feel that that might, I don't know, cheapen the experience a little bit and mean that by the time we get to month 2 or 3, people are already feeling like they're at endgame and sort of bored, or they're just getting dominated by people in class 5 armor because they've beasted through Icebreaker as fast as they can, grab the good gear from there, and it's like a completely separate set of progression, right? You're going to have like super high-end MVGs, you can have M855A1, decent weapons, class 5 plates. You're going to be very difficult to kill for anybody that doesn't do Icebreaker. So it feels like this is the meta progression. I'm probably going to go through and try and unlock this at least, because it's just going to make everything else so much easier. It does take a bit of doing, but I think it's probably going to be worth it. And there's not going to be that many people camping Shoreline either, because it's the beginning of the wipe. It's not like Icebreaker has the only thing that's got going on. So we'll see about that, but I feel like this is a mistake opening the Icebreaker so early. Okay, so the next part, what items you can use to make absolute bank on the flea market. So I was betting that a lot of these items are going to become cheaper, and the ones that always end up being really expensive are the ones that you need for the first levels of upgrades or the second levels of upgrades. So hoses are usually pretty expensive. These are actually only 60 to 70k. I'm actually surprised how cheap these are, to be honest with you. The ones that are really expensive, based on sort of prior history, are these nuts and bolts. So bolts, for example, are going for about 40 to 50k, something like that. And then nuts usually are a little bit more. I think bolts are slightly easier to get than nuts. So let me just find them here. I can't find a module where they are. But yeah, these are about 50k as well, actually, at the moment. These were trading a little bit higher, but obviously they've come down a little bit. These were going upwards of like 100k at one point. So basically keep all of your screw nuts, all of your bolts, anything that you need for upgrading the various workbenches. At level 2, this is where the pinch point's really going to come in. There's the duct tape as well. Duct tape is another one that you see all over the place and is actually pretty good. This is about 50k. But interestingly, the other one, the blue tape, isn't really used for that much stuff, and that one is nowhere near as expensive. So look after the white tape and don't bother with the blue. Now, after this, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can really only get at level 20. Tapes, for example, are really expensive. And this is crazy because you need these both for hideout upgrades, and you need them for making the 60 rounder magazines for Prapor. That's another item you should look out for, actually. I forgot to mention that one. You need to look out for 60 rounder magazines, otherwise you can craft them in the lavatory, but you have to use the duct tapes for them, and they're a hideout upgrade too. And they're quite rare, I've not seen that many of them. So these are in a real pinch point right now. The other one that's really expensive, to upgrade the intelligence center, you need a topographic map. These are pretty pricey because you don't find that many of them out in the raid. So these are a lot of money. But what I would say is that if you go and buy one of these, if you're like putting it off saying it looks like a lot, I ended up buying one of these, and there's a topographic survey map craft in Intelligence Center level 1. And secure flash drives are like 40, these guys are like 43, so that's 80, and these guys are like 50. So for 150k, you can actually make these, and you can see I'm actually making them right now. You're going to make about 100k after the flea fees every time you craft one of these. So it actually ends up making you money to buy one and then start crafting for other people. And do this as soon as you can, because otherwise the number of people who have that are going to go up, and the number of maps are going to go up, and the number of people who need the maps is going to go down, and so then the price is going to go down. You can also make flash drives in here as well, if you get to that point. So that allows you to complete what's on the flash drive pretty easily, if you can find the G-Phone X. G-Phone X's are worth a weight in gold right now. You can only trade them at level 20, and they're worth at least 140k, so these are pretty expensive. The other ones that are really good to look for are defuels. I can't remember if they're in here. No, they're over in heating. So defuels are really expensive right now, but these are level 20 as well, so you're not going to be able to buy these. Green batteries, relays, car batteries, and drills. These are also the really good ones that you should look out for. At the moment, drills are probably pretty obvious because we've had pinch points on this before, but none of these that you can actually trade until you're level 20, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just keep a hold of them. If you can get to level 20 to either buy them to progress or to sell them to other people, the prices on these, they will come down, because one of the issues here is that people who haven't progressed that much on their PMC and are only scav running aren't actually able to put them up on the Flea even for people to buy. So this is just like high-end players who are selling to other high-end players, and they're probably not looting as much as when the tidal flood of people who play scav actually get to this point. So this is probably the highest price it's going to be. It's got to come down from here. It'll still have lots of demand, I think, because you just need them for so many later things in the hideout. However, I think that the price is probably going to just slowly come down over time on these drills. So one final tip that I have for you before we close is that a lot of people still don't realize that the analgin painkillers have been made so that there's no downside on them. So you don't take any water hit to use these. I've been popping these like candy. I'm taking about 3 packs into every raid, which is just kind of insane. They only last for 80 seconds, which isn't amazing, but they're not that much. It's like 2,000 per use, something like that. And you can easily make that back with a single item, selling bolts on the Flea or something like that. So it's definitely worth taking them in. Not being painkillered is just the absolute death knell. Just make sure that you keep an eye on the timer, because 80 seconds means you have to use them all the time. So you probably can't use them all raid, but just be using them anytime you're doing anything dangerous, crossing into an area where there might be players, something like that, because there's no negative on the waterfront. This makes it so much easier to go around and actually be painkilled a lot more than you would be until we move up to Vaseline, ibuprofen, golden stars, those kind of things that do actually last like multiple minutes in a row. So at least at the beginning, this is a good thing to use. So yeah, keep having a look through the tasks. Like there's lots of things that are different. I'm not going to go through every single task. Punishment Part 1, for example, is now what Punishment Part 3 used to be, so like stuff is just all over the place. But so far, those are the items that I think you need and the keys that I think you need as well. You can make some decent money on the Flea once you get to level 15, and most of the tasks I would say are much, much easier than they used to be. So hope that you enjoy the progression. As always, big shout out to all my patrons, and as usual, have fun in your raids.